Hi, I'm Angified. I started Angified Presents.
We share the love of music.
It has been medicine and therapy. Nothing else worked.
It has saved many of us. With mental health, we need to open our eyes.
Hurt people hurt people.
We ask that you listen, comprehend, and relate with your ears.
Form that heart of unity and one.
We share on this stage.
Statistics, feelings.
And ourselves.
We stand with the belief to be you, to be heard, and to be original.
We all may be different, with opinions and beliefs.
At the end of the day, we are all brothers and sisters.
We are family.
We ask that you join us in a magical journey with artists from around the world. Open your minds, let in the love,
and listen with your hearts.
We all want a better tomorrow. Be one.
Communicate and look out for one another. And then, and only then, will you find the world.
We will find peace in all the world.
You'll find the world. And you will find in this shining world heroes among us and every boy and girl. Many have been broken, red hearts turn black. Love will melt the ice and turn it back, and you will find the world. You will find the world. You will find the world. And when you find a place called home, where everyone is free to roam, a whole new world, a better place for our children's futures at stake. And you'll find, with music in your soul, laughter in your hearts, together we can grow a better place, with love in us all. And you will find, together we can save it all. And you will find a place called home, where
talking about it all every Thursday night. From software to plugins and synths that entice. Dive deep into tech and let creativity take flight. Talkin IT. We're talking IT. Come and join in and have some fun. It's highly educational with a lot to learn. From bedroom producers to seasoned pros, we're breaking it down so knowledge grows. Whether you're a DJ or a beat making wizard, we got the tips and tricks to make your sound sizzle. Mixing and mastering, that's our jam. With the tutorials and tips on how much rap. Get the best quality from your setup and gear. Tune in every week and lend us your ear. We're talking IT. Come and join in and have some fun. It's highly educational with a lot to learn. We're talking We're talking IT. We're talking IT. Every Thursday night on Angified.
Hello. I'm on the left, to the left, to the left.
Much better, much better.
Oh, tune in and lend us your ears.
That's right. Right here, every Thursday night.
And, we're making up this week. I wanted to include some of this last week, but we went into the, the meaning of a name, band name, and all of that. And we've got some news to cover in some things that have been going on the last couple of weeks. Almost going to feel like a guitar night, except it's only one type of guitar.
Yeah, I think I know which one.
Yeah, if you've been looking at our YouTube feed and suggestions, it's kind of hard to ignore. Let's jump to the cave and see what we're looking at tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Give me around.
I'll go over there and you go over
there. and to start, a little bit of news with the macOS. Next month, the Worldwide Developers Conference is going to be going on. Mac has got another version of their operating system coming, macOS 27.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like every time they come out with one, it's news that you kind of have to cover.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And it's possible I'll be on a macOS in the next couple of years if things keep going the way they're going. So I need to keep up on what they're doing over there. macOS 27 is way bigger than we expected. Not a shocker. But 9 to 5 Mac's going to be covering that for us. And I wanted to go through this one because it's something that I talk to a lot of clients and things about, and it's passkeys. And in the old days, I wasn't a big fan of taking the passkey approach because people just don't even know their passwords at that point, and they start to become dependent on something that has a point of failure. But times are changing, and Addie Lamar, we've been here for some security talk on some of our nights, and just going to go through what a passkey is versus a password approach and the concerns, the things to consider utilizing this kind of approach. Is it safer or is it not? Something that should be discussed in the IT world.
Yeah, and again, there are situations where a passkey would be better than a password, and some of the situations would be like your buddy Bob who needed his password reset to Bob every Monday or whatever. There's certain people who would benefit from it, but there are other people who would, as you say, it makes them dependent on something that they wouldn't have been otherwise. But a lot of people just don't like to have to deal with that many passwords all the time. So the more we can automate that in a secure way, the better.
Yeah, and there's got to be some kind of solution out there. It's like you would have thought after 30 years plus of like internet, they would have come up with an easier way to do things, not harder, like two-factor, and I've got to go here to verify that I'm here and that's me. And doesn't seem like we're actually getting any more secure or that it's getting any easier to actually log in. And oh my God forbid you forget all of that or you lose your phone and I'm locked out of everything. And
Yeah.
that happens.
I feel like biometrics was a good approach, but we've gotten to a point where biometrics could more easily be spoofed or faked than ever before. So I just, it was a great idea, and we were getting to a good place where, thumbprint, retinal scan, like you're always going to have your thumb with you. You're always going to have your retina with you. There are points of failure where, okay,
I
scan
hope
both
I
thumbs.
always have my thumb with me.
Well, also have both thumbprints in the system so that if you do get a cut on your thumb one day, you're not automatically cut out of your, of access because it's no longer reading those important points on the tip, But that's the thing is, there's different things that you can do and the different ways that you can protect against it. But, whenever it comes to security, I don't know. I've always felt like the less security we need, the better. But at the same time, I understand that there are things that need to stay secure. So, I mean, I get that.
Yeah. Especially in the corporate data world. I mean,
yeah,
that's where this stuff really starts to matter a lot more. Just being a user on the internet, that's one thing, but having a whole company of data and a bunch of users and trying to manage it, sometimes this is the better approach.
Yeah, and just, having been a network administrator for a bunch of years, I mean, to me, I just had good password, practices of my own, cycling through different things and making sure not to use the same ones on different systems and all these different types of things. But it is a pain in the butt because you do end up forgetting things or needing to go through a couple different iterations and being like, okay, now what was it for this system again? And, making sure you're, staying on top of all of that. Where some of these other systems are better, but some people would like write the stuff down. It's like, dude, no, come on.
And again, it goes back to becoming insecure again. All I got to do is look under the desk and whoa, there's the password.
Under the keyboard, under the mouse. Yeah, somebody had stuff stuck everywhere. It's like, come on, man, no.
Yep. So Addie's gonna help us to discuss this particular challenge, and then the rest of the night we're going into this fender bender.
That's right.
Because I cannot ignore this for another week. I'm kind of glad we didn't do it last week because the noise was out there last week. The reactions, all the guitarists and the guitar manufacturers that are affected by this started screaming on our YouTube feed about their dislike of what's going on with what Fender's done. And we've got 3 different videos to take a look at this situation. And from what I've gathered, it's Fender going after knockoffs and kind of like trying to secure their classic Strat design, which is one of the most popular guitar designs in the world, if not the most popular. And the way they're handling this, the criticism about them here is valid. In some cases, I can sympathize with them, but at the same time, the approach and the way they're going at it legally seems a little heavy-handed.
And it also depends who they're going after and why. And that was one thing that we might not have even might not have this video in for tonight, but one of the things that came up for me today was when they were talking about Fender going after PRS.
Yes,
and
I almost included that one.
And I was going to say that is not just random Joe knockoff company. Now we're talking about big heavy hitters as far as
that's where the shots were fired across the bow in that particular situation. And with these videos we are going to look at, we're going to see where it's going to affect things. But the first video, Guitar History Network, totally covering this across the board. Millions of guitar players are done with Fender after what just happened. They're going to explain what's going on and what Fender started here. And then to kind of complement this, because this is more recent, this is in the last 24 hours, and Music for Miles is going to cover they finally did respond, and they know there's a backlash out there, and Miles thinks this might change everything with this scenario. So hopefully there's some good news in their direction that they're deciding, because last week It was all noise. It was all backlash. So we're we're going to see Fender's going to clarify some things, and hopefully the backlash won't be as bad. But still, concern for a lot of guitar manufacturers out there right now as to whether they're going to be forced to destroy their inventory, which is kind of where this is going, what Fender's pushing towards.
Yeah,
It
and
is
as an extreme for sure.
it is a big deal if you're a guitarist.
Mhm.
And then to finish things off, this was an interesting one. Riffs, beards, and gear. Surprised that I wasn't already following this a freshie channel, and I got a beard, man.
Right?
As soon as I learn how to riff, and I love my gear, this channel's gonna help me. But what he's going to talk about here, interesting question that he comes up with, given this like scenario: when does a guitar shape become a public culture?
Right.
And for me, the Strat, since I was a kid, has been like a staple in, guitar.
See, the question comes down to also whether it's, is it more the headstock design? Is it the, pickup configuration? Is it the overall body shape? I mean, there's so many different elements to it where I could see, very specific things. Like if you tried to perfectly copy a Strat in every element, then it would be, I could see that as being a major problem. But if you just have similarities in a lot of different ways, but structurally everything, works the same way. I mean, many electric guitars all work the same way, right? So it's not a question of that. It's you can have it just be slightly different in certain ways. It's a question of how similar does it have to be in order to be a problem, or
And,
you
and
know.
and does the shape actually make the guitar, or is it the pickups and the design and the gear that's going into the actual guitar? Where does the like copyright or the patent start? The shape seems like a bizarre place to patent something like a guitar.
See, it also depends if you're trying to sell a non-Fender guitar as if it's a Fender, right? Like that you're doing a knockoff, you're trying to get someone to buy it, trying to make them think it's a Fender. That's one thing. If you are clearly making your own brand and it just happens to look like a Fender, that's a different story, I think.
Yeah.
So,
Well, the Strat shape is just a logical shape.
well, there's a lot of things to it, though. It could be just a slightly different angle. It could be a longer horn in the front. It could, I mean, there's all kinds of changes that you could make to it just to customize it and make it a little bit different. And a lot of them come up from ergonomics. I mean, from the way the shape is now, from the way the curve is to fit around your body, from the way it is to, sit on your leg, all that kind of stuff matters.
Yeah, yeah. And I think the big reason for Fender's motivation here is that boutique guitars have really taken over. In the old days, it was all about the brands and the guitars bought specifically for like they love this brand. Now with boutique guitars, the way they are custom, like those ocean designs, the shark, approach, custom guitars now are huge. And my guess is Fender's trying to secure some of their legacy and at the same time trying to limit where knockoffs are, because Strat knockoffs have been around as long as Strats have been around.
Yeah, and it doesn't even have to just be Strats. I mean, it could be any of the classic guitar shapes. I mean, any, you can pick any of your favorite. It could be a Strat, it could be a Tele, it could be whatever, SG. Any kind of guitar from any manufacturer, really. Somebody could try to emulate that exact style, and you could end up having problems if you're trying to mass produce and sell it, and if it is taking market share away from them. That's one thing where when it comes to, if they're talking about lawsuits, they do have to prove harm, right? So they have to prove that they have lost business to you with a design that is similar enough to theirs that it's like your design is now taking business away from them. That's the way they would have to try to prove harm usually.
And I think what's troubling a lot of these builders and the ones who might potentially get a cease and desist letter from Fender, the fines that they're talking about, like minimum $250,000, like this, again, does the fine and the punishment fit the crime that you're trying to stop? And is it actually a crime? I'm
That's the question.
conflicted.
That is the question. So we'll have to dive into it a little bit there.
Yes, we will learn more before the end of the night.
Right.
But to get started, what's up with this new Mac OS? Every time there's a Mac OS upgrade, when I did used to have a MacBook, and going from this version to this version of OS, Mac is not like Windows. When you get these new operating system upgrades, your programs break on the Mac and start to say, I can't run Cubase over here until you get a new version of Cubase to work with this version of the Mac OS, which is always a pain in the ass if you got to wait for the applications to update themselves to work with an operating system. And here we've got 27 coming out now. And if it's way bigger than we expected, chances are a lot of your music apps and your video editing apps and the things that you use Macs to work with might all break again. And you might be waiting a couple of months until the applications catch up to the operating system.
Yeah. And that's where some people, when it comes to Windows updates and things like that, some people will hold off at first because they want to see what kind of feedback there is, because, somebody else in the community would try it out and find out that Cubase doesn't work or whatever it is. They would find out, this app doesn't work, and they start,
I almost never updated right away with the Mac
right.
OS when I was dealing with it. I would test it, sandbox it, test it, see if what apps were going to break. And before I did it to my MacBook, I made sure that like everything I'm going to use is still going to work.
Right. It's important.
And this is a great site for Mac news. We've been going here for a lot of the Mac news this year. Apple is, innovating and rolling along. We've had big news since the beginning of the year from them with this new operating system. I did want to check on this at 9 to 5 Mac. A lot of great coverage there on where this equipment is going. And when it comes to something like a new OS over there, I like a trustworthy channel that's not going to throw fluff at me, but actually give me the details that I need to know.
Exactly.
And they're saying it's way capital bigger than we expected. So I'm kind of curious, like, are we talking going to take more hard drive space, or am I going to need to get that M5 CPU and more RAM?
Or is it that all your applications are going to be broken for 2 months?
Possibly for 12 months. Let's see how much bigger this is.
So we are less than 3 weeks away from WWDC, and during that, Apple will be unveiling macOS 27, and there are 5 huge changes that are coming to your Mac that I think everybody needs to know about and get ready for, and a lot of them are going to be surprising because there is that touchscreen Mac that should be coming out at the end of this year, and it might optimize for that. Let's get into it. But now before we continue, if you guys do enjoy videos like this one where we talk all things Apple, consider subscribing to the channel and help us get to 1 million subscribers by the end of the year. So you might have seen that earlier this week, Apple dropped a press release talking about how Apple Intelligence is going to be brought into accessibility and what it's going to do for those features moving forward. And I think it's a great way to kind of showcase what will be coming outside of accessibility from an Apple Intelligence standpoint. So of course, macOS 27 will be getting the same version of Siri that we get, that iOS 27 and iPadOS 27 will get, and a lot of those features are going to be much more useful on your Mac, especially from a productivity standpoint. So of course we know that Apple is going to be bringing some sort of chatbot-like application for Siri, so it might be a dedicated application separate to it. Maybe it lives inside of Spotlight Search, maybe it lives in your control center, but there will be some sort of chatbot interface you can interact with and have a real conversation with, whether it is via actual typing in text or with your voice directly on your Mac computer. So that will definitely be coming with macOS 27. But secondly, and more importantly on the AI front, is that Apple's going to be bringing some agentic capabilities regardless to macOS 27, which I think is going to be, again, more important in the macOS environment because you'll be able to actually get your computer to do things for you purely based on AI prompts moving forward, which I think is a great future as long as it's done correctly. We saw some example of this with that new accessibility feature, being able to dictate with natural language, what you want your iPhone to do, and that will be coming over to macOS as well. And I think it's going to breed a lot of new capabilities into macOS, especially with background tasks and background management. Some of the things that those Claude bots and codecs and those things where they take over your Mac have been trying to do, but now it's going to be built in natively to macOS. And now again, we know that Apple's been a little bit behind the 8 ball when it comes to at least the expectation of what AI should be in the Apple world, but it's not like there's a lot of other things going on in the background from a computer desktop class browsing experience already, so Apple is in a good spot to really improve on and just give us some real agentic features moving forward that will help benefit us with macOS. And of course, speaking of productivity, they're going to be baking a lot of this into Safari, and that's going to be the second new feature, which is we're going to be getting some AI tab organization in Safari. So for a while now, Apple's been trying to build these buckets or these personal personas inside of Safari, as well as tab groups that really kind of help simplify your life a little bit. But for the most part, I personally have never really used those. You have your work one, your professional one, your personal one. There's a lot of different ways you can kind of name them. But it looks like Apple, with Apple Intelligence and Siri, is going to be combining that into one where it'll do that for you and on your behalf. So you'll have some work tabs grouped together, some shopping tabs, research tabs, travel tabs, all depending on what you're doing to make it more accessible and not as convoluted moving forward, because we all know that once you start adding a bunch of tabs, it can get messy and then you end up just deleting all the tabs for a clean slate. So if Apple can come in and make it much easier to organize all the different tabs that I have open, because I have a bunch of tabs open at once, and the way that I normally group them is based on new windows. So I'll have a window that's open that's really focused on a lot of the productivity stuff that I'm doing, open up another window for like my personal finance stuff, another window that has a bunch of tabs about maybe travel, depending on what I'm planning. So if Apple can do that and kind of bring it into one windowed view that I can easily sort between, I think that'll be a great way to kind of make my life a little bit easier. So bringing that over to macOS 27 will be a welcome addition to my Mac. And of course, this should trickle down to iPadOS and iOS. But now the big one that's coming is actually in the Photos application. Now we've all known that you can edit your photos in the Photos app. This has a pretty robust kind of editing feature and editing tool set. But again, Apple's been kind of missing out on a lot of the AI features, especially the ones that are going to help you out from a tool standpoint as opposed to completely changing the photo. The only real AI feature that we have inside the Photos app currently is that eraser tool or magic wand, I believe it's called, or something like that, where it does erase objects and things and people from an image that you don't want, as well as blur out faces and license plate, depending on what you're doing, but they're going to be adding a lot more functionality moving forward. So the first new feature is going to be the extend feature. So basically, Apple Intelligence will be able to extend the actual image based on what it sees in the image itself, so it still looks natural. Maybe you need to make the image a little bit wider, maybe you need to add a little bit on top or underneath it. So just being able to extend the actual image itself is going to be a great thing to see. Then we're going to be adding some more things into the enhance feature. There's already an enhance button in the Photos application that really kind of just dials things in a little bit neater for you, but they're going to improve on that, adding better lighting, color, and just better overall image quality when it comes to that in the Photos application. And then a big one that's going to really kind of hone in on Apple Intelligence is the new reframe feature that's coming to macOS 27. And it's going to be especially interesting for spatial photos, because spatial photos is all about perspective and what you see and how you move it around. So being able to add that and shifting perspective, depending on what photo you take, could be a great addition. Like maybe your viewpoint can be a little bit different with just the one image that you have based on this new reframe feature. And again, Apple's going to bring this out, and the name of the game is all about simplicity. They don't want to create Photoshop or Affinity Photo inside the Photos application. They want to have just kind of these one-tap enhancement features that we've had for years now. Like I said, we have the one enhance feature or the one auto edit feature that we've had for years, what kind of just touches things up for you, and then you can edit that a little bit more granularly after the fact. But Apple's going to be adding these tools that are just one-touch features that will help enhance things, change them up, extend photos, and make it as simple as possible where it's still using AI in the background, but again, enhancing it in real time for you. And again, that's going to be the name of the game with Apple. I keep saying this, that they're going to be adding AI features into your everyday life where you don't think they're actually using AI. It's just making everything a little bit better for you at the end of the day. And now the next one's going to be all about shortcuts. And I know my buddy Steven Robles, the Shortcuts King, is going to love this because it's going to allow you to use natural spoken language and prompts to create whatever shortcut you want. Right now, the Shortcuts application, while albeit isn't quite like you are just plain coding, it is a little bit intimidating once you start adding different layers and different steps into whatever shortcut you want to run, because it's basically a playful and more UI-friendly way of coding something into your Apple ecosystem or into your iOS, iPadOS, or macOS device. So being able to just use natural language to then have Apple Shortcuts interpret that for you is something that I'm really excited for, especially to play with moving down the line, because right now, Like I said, if you want to add something that adds multiple steps, you kind of need to know what you're doing, versus on the natural language side, you can kind of tell it and kind of massage it over and over again until you get exactly what you need. So let's see exactly how this plays out, how accurate it's going to be, how easy it's going to be. But I think it's going to be an awesome new feature into the Shortcuts application that'll make people's lives easier and just make people use shortcuts that much more. And now the big one coming here is going to be some smaller UI tweaks and changes that I think was a great starting point with iPadOS 26. So when Apple brought over those multitasking, the floating windows to iPadOS 26 last year, you noticed that when you interacted with it, at a glance, it looked like macOS when you had the floating windows, you had the 3 traffic light stops, but of course, those circles are too small to just pinpoint with your finger. So what Apple did is that they added the expanding feature in that functionality and behavior of the operating system. So you would tap into that general area, it would enlarge those buttons so you have a more kind of touch sensitive area that you can actually press on so you are accurate with your touch points. And there is that rumor that Apple's making a touchscreen Mac computer coming late in 2026. And I think a lot of the iPadOS stuff that's happening in iPadOS 26 will translate over to macOS 27 in those specific use cases. Maybe there's going to be some sort of touchscreen mode or some finger mode or something that's going to happen where it will allow you to interact with the actual space, because the way that macOS functions right now, it's not very touch friendly. It requires a cursor, it requires a precise point and click situation, versus iPadOS, you can have best of both worlds. You can have the point and click, the cursor's specificity, but then you can also use your finger and touch and swipe and gestures to really control your operating system. I think a lot of that is coming to macOS, so see the UI kind of transform into what that looks like. Maybe a little bit more rounded off, a little bit more playful, maybe instances where this will work and where this won't work. Very curious to see what Apple does with their M6 MacBook Pro and a touchscreen OLED display. It's going to be pricey, but I think it's going to be very cool. So that's what we should expect with the new macOS. It's not going to be a crazy overhaul. It's not going to be the whole liquid glass redesign. A lot of it is going to be focused on Apple Intelligence and what they do at WWDC with those agentic features. Agentic. Comment down below the phonetic way of saying that, please, to help me out. But let me know also what you guys think of these new updates. Are you excited for them? Are you a macOS user? Are you optimistic about the AI features? Are you kind of just in wait and see mode to see if Apple can really pull through with what they're doing from an artificial intelligence standpoint? Always curious to know your thoughts, but if you did make it to the end, leave the little dolphin. And if you guys want to watch more videos like this one, definitely check out one of these videos right here and stay tuned, because we got some awesome coverage coming soon when it comes to everything Apple related. But that'll do it. Peace, everybody.
Oh, agentic?
Agentic, yeah.
Agentic?
More related to agents, yeah. Agentic.
Yes, I'm going to need to get a dolphin for you.
Sounds fair.
And no big surprise that AI is one of the things they're going to be focusing on with this new version, and getting it to kind of be more fluid between the iOS and touch. I'm surprised that they didn't push touch more on the Mac OS, considering they've got the best touch experience on iOS of any device. Getting that to actually work on a big operating system, I'd like to see that. That would be an improvement if they can smooth that out. Microsoft's been trying to make Windows into touch friendly since Windows 10, and it's been a massive failure. So
yeah,
if
a lot of
anybody
it comes down
can do it, it's Apple.
Compatible hardware, right? Like that's a lot of the time what it comes down to, you know.
Well, in the screen, good. The reason why the iOS devices are so amazing with their touch response is their screen technology.
Exactly.
And if Safari is the other big thing that they're focusing on updates, and yay, now I can group my tabs. Big whoop, I can already do that. If I want to edit images and I want it to be super simple, so like extend that or touch up this part of the picture. Yes, there's a market who doesn't want to be a graphic artist, who will appreciate these little updates, but most people who are buying Macs for like business production, graphic artists, musicians, the ones who do tend to buy Macs, they don't need this fancy little simple magic to fix a picture. They already know how to do it with the tools that have been around. So nice that Apple's like catering to that like market that doesn't want to learn how to do anything.
Mhm.
But they should know that the majority of their professional customers don't care about these little things.
Yeah, because they would go about the masking in a different way.
Yeah, it does feel like they really are trying to compete with Adobe. You know what we saw at the beginning of the year when they came out with their new suite of tools that like they're trying to push everybody to a subscription every year and you'll get iPhoto and iVideo and everything else. Um, it does seem like they're eyeing Adobe and saying, we're going to give our customers all your products in our computer, but
Mhm.
it's not the same product.
And if it is subscription based, I'm not a big fan of that myself. So
Yeah. We've already told them about our feelings on that.
exactly, no
So,
secrets there.
yeah, at 9 to 5 Mac, I will be checking back in, seeing what's going on here. I'm in wait and see mode.
Mhm.
Uh, nice to get this information. I like to keep up here. I'd rather like learn it this way than spend another $3,000 and find out the hard way.
Yeah, exactly.
Good
Better.
coverage there.
Yep.
At 9 to 5 Mac. And now we're going to talk a little about security. Something important in security that a lot of people, they just don't even think about it. They don't want to think about it. They don't want to remember their passwords and they just want computing to be simple. And I want my computer to remember me when I log in. And God forbid if it forgets you and you delete your cookies. And oh my God, I spent the next week re-logging in, resetting every password because I don't remember what the password was. And
Well, or your computer crashes. I mean, these things happen, So
yeah, it's even worse with phones, man. When people lose their phones, it's like, oh my God, life stops.
that's where, like, ideally, the passwords are stored in the computer and in the phone. So if one of them dies, you still have the other one to be able to get to the apps to, at least get in there and change it to something that you do know, at least temporarily, and even if you're going to change it back the other way later.
Yeah. And consider the security that you're using and whether it is safe or not. At Addie Lamar over on YouTube, we've been here for a few of our tech nights where we were talking about security, cyber security, and all that. She's got great information when it comes to this part of IT, and this one's a fresh even on her channel. The Passkeys explained here. Uh, Something that I used to really shy away from. Um, Come on, come on, Paige. There she is. It's something that I avoided in the early days of the internet, where you had these like password managers. Which
Yeah.
is a little different.
Mhm.
The password managers, Gator, remember Gator
Mhm.
in the early 2000s. Um, some of those turned out to be total disasters. And people were using them to like make the passwords for the sites and to remember them. And now it's built into like Google, which I actually do utilize Google for some management of things because I got 5 computers in the room and I like being able to log into my Google account and boom, what I do here, I can do there. It knows me and I trust Google enough with that information
Mhm.
that the convenience is worth
The diminished
a,
security.
a
Yeah.
little bit of concern that I have because Google accounts do get hacked too, and
Sure.
and Google acknowledges that. Uh, but as far as solutions go, up till now, it's kind of been the path of least resistance.
And you wouldn't be as much of a fan of a two-factor thing anyway, because you wouldn't want to get a cell phone,
Uh,
signal that you just hit a button on.
Two-factor serves a purpose. I mean, if we're talking my bank account, my crypto account, when I used to play poker, certain sites, two-factor would be essential because you're dealing with money. And if you're dealing with money through the internet, at least with the two-factor, it takes that extra step to actually move money around. And that adds an extra layer of security. But at the same time, it's a pain in the ass. And I wish something better would come along here that doesn't require like, oh, hold on, let me go grab my phone to say, yes, it's me every time I'm trying to log into BandLab, like Facebook.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Well, even back in the days when they were using like a magstripe reader on the keyboard in order to like scan in for like traders doing transactions, for like big trades, like Wall Street type trades, they actually had to, scan with that as well as enter, a password and everything else, all official stuff in order to get these big trades in.
Yeah.
But when those keyboards went bad,
you want to make sure it's the actual trader that's doing the trade.
Exactly. But when one of those keyboards would go bad, same idea. Or one of those key cards, they lost their card. Well, they're screwed. I mean, that was the one way to do it. Like that was the way we set it up so that you have to have the card to do it. Now you lose the card and you're like, I got to do it. You're like, well, you don't have the card, you can't do it.
Yeah, there's no perfect security, but we do have some good options. It's just a matter of where you use them, weighing the advantages versus the disadvantages. And here, what I like here is that she's going to explain what passkeys are, and then she's going to ask that question that people should ask. Are they actually better than passwords?
Right.
And I trust her advice.
All right.
Apple, Google, and Microsoft just replaced your password with a piece of math. They're calling it a passkey, and almost every major site you use is prompting you to set one up. The part most explainers skip is what actually happens to your accounts when the iCloud or Google account that syncs your passkeys gets compromised. Hi nerds, I'm Addie. I've been in cybersecurity for 15 years, and I break down cyber threats before they blindside you. In this video, I'm walking you through what a passkey actually is at the cryptographic layer, why this is genuinely the biggest authentication change in 20 years, and why the strongest authentication system ever shipped to consumers is gated by the weakest one. Stay with me because the last part changes how you should be auditing your accounts tonight. What are passkeys? Every major platform you use is trying to retire your password, like Apple, Google, Microsoft, GitHub, PayPal, eBay, Adobe, and most major banks. All of them are now prompting you to set up something called a passkey instead. Most people I talk to have tapped through one of these prompts in the last 6 months and have no idea what they actually agreed to. The marketing copy says passwordless and faster and more secure. The marketing is technically right and substantively incomplete. A passkey is the first time real public key cryptography, the same math that runs your TLS handshake and your SSH key, has shipped to your grandmother's iPhone. That is the breakthrough. The catch is that the convenience model that made passkeys deployable changed the threat model in a way the prompt screen doesn't really explain. So how does this actually work, and what's the catch? The math that replaced your password. Passkeys are different from passwords because the website never stores or receives a password that can be stolen and reused. Instead, your device creates a pair of cryptographic keys, one public key that the website keeps and one private key that stays on your phone, computer, or password manager. When you log in, the site sends a challenge and your device proves it has the private key, usually after Face ID, fingerprint, PIN, or device unlock. There's no password to phish, no password to reuse on another site, and a data breach usually doesn't give attackers something they can actually log in with. It might sound like it, but they're not magic, and you still need good account recovery and device security. But compared with normal passwords, they remove a lot of the biggest risks and friction. Now, look at where each of those pieces actually sits in your device. The private half stays inside the secure element on your device, which is a separate chip designed so that the rest of the phone cannot read it. On iPhones, this is called the secure enclave. On Android phones, it's the strongbox or the trusted execution environment. On modern Windows, it's the TPM. On a hardware key like YubiKey, it's the chip itself. The private half never leaves that vault, even if your phone is compromised by malware. The public half goes to the website. That's all the website ever sees. When you log in, the website first sends your device a random challenge. Next, your device asks for the secure element to sign that challenge with the private key. The secure element then returns a signature. After that, your device sends the signature back. Then the website verifies it against the public key in the database. Because there is no password. Every signature is unique to the challenge that produced it. An attacker who intercepts a signature cannot replay it for a future login because the next challenge will be different. An attacker who breaches the website's database and steals the public key cannot do anything with it because public keys are mathematically useless without the matching private key. The browser and operating system also enforce one more rule that turns out to be load-bearing. The passkey is bound to the exact origin it was registered with. If you registered a passkey at chase.com, your device will only sign challenges that come from chase.com. A phishing site sitting at chasing.com or chase-login.com will never get a signature because your device refuses to talk to it. So, if the math is this clean, why is everyone in security still nervous about passkeys? Why the old phishing tricks stopped working? I just told you passkeys can't be phished. The mechanism is more interesting than that headline. Before passkeys, the strongest consumer authentication was usually a password plus code from an authenticator app. The problem is that humans can be tricked into typing both into a fake login page. There's a whole class of attack called adversary in the middle, AITM for short, where the attacker stands up a perfect clone of the real login page, captures the password and the code as the user types them, and then logs into the real site within the 30-second window before the code expires. There are off-the-shelf phishing kits like Evil Jinx that automate the whole thing. They've been wrecking password plus code authentication for years. Passkeys break this attack at the protocol layer. The browser will not hand a passkey signature to a site at the wrong origin. Full stop. The attacker can stand up the cleanest fake page in the world, and the device simply will not sign for it. The whole class of phishing kit attacks structurally cannot work against a properly implemented passkey. That alone is the biggest authentication win in 20 years. NIST's most recent revision of SP 863 Bravo, the Federal Digital Identity Guidelines, explicitly calls out phishing-resistant authenticators as the gold standard for high-assurance authentication. There's a real technical reason every major platform is moving here at the same time. There's also database breach immunity. When the next big company gets hit and 10 million records leak, the attackers used to walk away with hashed passwords they could brute force at home. With passkeys, the same breach gives them a list of public keys. Public keys are not credentials. Instead, they are verification keys. The attacker cannot log in with them, and the breach loses its useful payload. But there's a part of this story the marketing hasn't told you yet, and it changes how the whole system actually performs in practice. The two kinds of passkey no one tells you about. There are two kinds of passkey, and the vendor messaging conflates them. The distinction is the most important thing you can learn about this technology. The first kind is a device-bound passkey. The key pair lives in one specific piece of hardware and cannot be copied off of it. A YubiKey is the best example. Some enterprise Windows Hello deployments are also device-bound. This is the strongest version. It's also the version that locks you out of every account if the device is lost or destroyed, which is why almost no consumer ever gets one. The second kind is a synced passkey. The key pair is replicated across all your devices in an ecosystem. Apple syncs them across your iPhone, iPad, and Mac through iCloud Keychain. Google syncs them across your Chrome installs through Google Password Manager. Microsoft syncs them through your Microsoft account. Password managers like 1Password, Bitwarden, and Dashlane sync them across whatever devices you've installed them on. And you guys better not be using LastPass or I will be very upset with you. When the prompt on your phone says save passkey, it's almost always a synced passkey. The vendor messaging doesn't call out the distinction in plain language because the difference sounds like a trade-off and the marketing wants you to feel like you're getting the strongest protection. Here's what synced means at the threat model layer. Your private key now lives wherever the syncing account lives, not on one specific device. So your iCloud account or your Google account or your Microsoft account is the de facto master credential for every passkey you have. Every site you've added a passkey to is logged in through that one account. And the part the marketing especially doesn't say out loud is that master account is defended by a password plus a recovery email plus SMS. The strongest authentication system ever shipped to consumers is gated by the weakest one. Now look at what's holding it up, where the whole thing falls apart. There are 3 failure modes worth knowing, and they're all variants of the same root problem. The first is the recovery downgrade. Almost every site that supports passkeys also supports a fallback recovery flow. If you lose your passkey, you can still get into your account by clicking forgot password and receiving an email reset link, or by getting an SMS code, or by answering some security questions. An attacker who compromises your email or SIM swaps your phone number can still reset accounts that have a passkey on them. The passkey is the really strong front door, but the back door is the same recovery flow that has been broken for the last 10 years. And it gets worse from there. The second failure mode is the sync account compromise. Your iCloud account is defended by your iCloud password plus a verification code that goes to one of your Apple devices. If your iPhone is the device with both your passkeys and your verification code, the threat model has a circular dependency. An attacker who gets your iCloud password in your phone has access to every passkey you've stored. This is rare, but it has happened in real cases, especially in SIM swap incidents and in incidents where the attacker had brief physical access to an unlocked device. And the architecture has one more weakness. Most sites that accept passkeys also still let you log in with the old password if you have one on file. The site does this for users who haven't migrated yet, but it means that strong authentication is just one of multiple options. An attacker who has your old leaked password from a previous breach can still log in through the password path. The passkey is a strong front door, but the back door is unlocked, like I said before, and the attacker rarely needs the front door at all. There's a fourth issue worth flagging as well: cross-platform sync. Passkeys sync within an ecosystem, but not between them. So switching from iPhone to Android still loses your synced passkeys, except through some clunky QR code that allows you to use a passkey on another device. This is improving, but if you live across multiple ecosystems, the passkey experience is still pretty rough. So given all of that, what should you actually do with this information tonight? What to actually do? The headline answer is that passkeys are still the right call. Set them up. The phishing resistance and database breach immunity are real and substantial gains over password plus SMS, just full stop. Don't let the failure modes scare you out of using them. What changes is what you audit alongside them. So your synced passkey is only as strong as the master account it's syncing through. So make sure your master account is hardened. There's a way to check whether you are personally exposed to the recovery downgrade right now, and it takes about 5 minutes. Open the security settings of your most important account, your primary email, and look at what recovery methods are listed. If SMS recovery is enabled, that's the SIM swap path, and you need to switch to an authenticator like now. If a secondary email is listed, check whether that secondary email is itself protected by a strong passkey or just by another password. Whatever you found, here's what to do about it. Make your iCloud, Google, or Microsoft account password long and unique, ideally a passphrase of 4 to 6 random words you can remember easily. This is the master password for everything else now. Treat it accordingly. Add a hardware security key, like a YubiKey, as a recovery factor on your most critical account, like email, banking, primary cloud, that kind of stuff. Hardware keys are device-bound, so they're the one passkey class that doesn't inherit the sync account weakness. Disable SMS recovery wherever the site lets you, especially on email and banking. SMS as a second factor is structurally broken and has been for years. So please switch to an authenticator app if you are forced to use something that's not a passkey and just anything but SMS. Audit your recovery options on your most important accounts in this order: email first, banking second, social media third. Email first because it's the master reset path for almost everything. The synced passkey infrastructure is genuinely the best authentication consumers have ever had, and you'll get most of the value just by using it. The remaining audit work is what closes the gap between almost the best and actually the best. The passkey itself is solid math. The system around the passkey is what you should be auditing. The strongest cryptography in the world only protects you to the limit of the weakest channel around it. So audit the channels. If you like this video about passkeys, you'll love this one where I discuss the problems with one of the most widely used password managers on the planet. I'll see you in that video next.
Oh, Addie, I've already been taking your advice. I love it.
Exactly. And your 6-word password already all set up.
Well,
17 words, right?
When it comes to the private key and the public key, the way she's describing it, it reminds me of anybody who uses a Bitcoin wallet and is familiar with, how crypto wallets work and the importance of that private key that is your wallet, and why you don't want that in like a text file on your computer, or you don't ever want to actually put it in insecurely to send somewheres. That private key is access to your funds. And if you're smart, you use what's called a hardware wallet. Why? Because that key never leaves that USB stick. It never gets on the computer. It never goes over the internet. And if you want to protect your cryptocurrency, that's the smartest approach. Here, what they're talking about is private keys on devices that never transmit. They utilize the public address to do all the transaction, and the private key over here says, okay, he's cool, let him in. And it is a secure approach when it's implemented right. But all the things she mentioned there and the possibilities of, yay, we got this like gated front door, but guess what? All the windows are open in the back. And
is how it would be shocking to most people if they went and looked at all those settings and find that they are, in fact, vulnerable to all these things.
Well, and her emphasis on getting off of SMS as a method, like we almost saw triple factor approach here. Like it's going to authenticate here, then it's going to authenticate here, and then it's going to authenticate there. Man, I don't want more things I have to click. Yes, it's me. But for truly secure, I guess they're doing what they can to deal with these situations.
Yeah. And again, a long passphrase is a good choice. Like some people would talk about, a series or a phrase or a verse from a song, right? Like a section of a song, like it's one of your favorite songs or whatever. And you like a whole phrase, something that's really long, 30 characters, 40 characters, like, you can make a really long password and you can change things around in it where you put numbers and letters, whatever.
Well, you see how she suggested word dash, word dash, word dash.
And they're random. Yeah.
If you look at today's Bitcoin wallets, when you create them, they'll make you write down, and you should write it down again, not put it in a text file. If it gives you a 24-word passphrase for your Bitcoin wallet, you write that down, you put that piece of paper in a lockbox or a safe, and never lose that. Because if you need to recover your account, your wallet, that is the only key there for identification. And it gets a lot more complicated for a hacker to figure out a 24-word phrase. And in the case of passwords, if you are doing passwords yourself, some sites, they're going to force you to do a character. They're going to force you to do a capital and a number. So like that's the other problem with a lot of sites, because I have a password strategy that generally works for me. But every once in a while, I go to a site that has that symbol exception, in which case I try to like utilize it in a way that I can remember.
Mhm.
I don't want to have to load up a password manager to tell me what the hell the password I made was. I can remember it.
Exactly. I always preferred that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand why a lot of people just can't memorize their passwords because there's so many of them, and they tend to do the most insecure thing, which is use the same password for every site. And I'm sure Addie would tell you, like, that's a no-no.
It gets compromised anywhere. It's compromised everywhere.
The best thing to do is to have those phrases like you're saying, and something about the site um, should be your hint to the rest of the password. So if you do have a nice complex password and you're just wondering, like, I needed to make this different for Facebook versus BandLab. Well, I'm trying to log into Facebook now. Going based on my strategy, I know exactly what the rest of my password or the beginning or the middle, wherever I inject that identifier of what I'm trying to log into, I know what I normally use for a secure password. And hey, I'm on Facebook. Uh, Facebook's in the password, or something's in the password that I use to associate to the site I'm logging into. That helps me to remember what I need to remember and still have a different password for every site I go to.
Mhm. That's like I said, password strategy rather than having a password for something. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you do get like these hardware keys, I, in a corporate environment especially, I like that idea of like, okay, here's your stick. You want to use any computer in this building, you're gonna have to put that in and probably put your thumb on it as you put it in so we know it's you.
Exactly. And that's where, that is kind of a simple, two-factor thing. Like having this device with you at all times. It's on the keychain with your business ID, your badge and your thumb, which again, you should always have with you. So,
Fingers crossed. And hopefully I don't need that finger.
Exactly.
Addie, great advice. We will have another cybersecurity night because it's something that like I got to keep drilling into my family, into my clients. We live in ironically very insecure times for all these security options.
hmm And the question is how far we are from having like an AI security layer where, like you have your avatar, your AI
With
presence that is
your
actually handling all your security for you.
you're starting to see that fermenting in the security world. I think the big takeaway here from everything she explained, and awesome explanation, is that unless you're all in with your approach security wise, like if you're halfway in, like the way some of these companies are giving you the option to still log in with your username and password, you kind of can't be really secure if you're half 1 foot in the secure pool. You
Yeah. And
really gotta dive in to truly be secure.
it is kind of that illusion of security still, like where, as a network administrator, you're sitting there, you're telling people that it's 100% secure. You can put files here on this share and it's only you who can access it and et cetera, et cetera. And it's like, of course I can access it because I need to get there if you lock yourself out. It's like there's one person who has the keys to the things that even are, locked, but someone has access and someone has access on purpose, because they have to have access, but they don't go snooping around in things that they don't have a reason to go snooping around in. I have access to it so that I can get it when you lock yourself out of it and get you the access back. But it's not access for me to have to look whenever I feel like it.
Yeah. And if you were a good administrator would know, because a good administrator should be paying attention to all traffic, all requests, every packet going in and out.
Yep. Got to be sniffing.
Yeah. It's a dirty job, but I'm gonna do it.
Yes, indeed.
So at Addie Lamar, great place for cybersecurity advice.
And what's up with Fender?
Now we're getting to the fender bender, and man, I'm just getting to understand this situation. I still haven't gotten a good explanation yet, so I picked this one because Guitar History Network is all over this. I mean, there was like 4 videos that I could have used about this, all very informative about this situation at Guitar History Network. And when we have guitar nights, perfect channel to add. We got a freshie, Glenn.
All right.
And for this one, this kind of sets the stage here for millions of guitar players are done with Fender after what just happened. And this was initially like when I started seeing in our YouTube feed afterwards, every other guitar channel, avalanche of fuck you, Fender, I'm done with you. And like, when you see that from multiple sources at the same time, that it's a big deal. And I wouldn't say it's a scandal for Fender at this point. They're going to have to carefully guide their ship here, in order to not piss off all those faithful guitar fans that have bought their guitars over the years, but are okay with buying a Japanese knockoff if it sounds good. And the fine line between authentic Fender or knockoff, and there's a audience for both sides of that.
Yeah. And again, a lot would come down to, if Fender is trying to put lawsuits against makers of clones, the question is, can they prove damages? Can they prove that, they lost the actual business? Because would the people who bought the knockoffs actually have bought Fender if there was not a knockoff available?
Yes.
That's the question.
Can you prove that in a court case?
Yeah, and that's the question. Is like a lot of cases it'll never get to that point. Like the idea is just to them to have the lawsuit to bully people into not going down that road.
And this is why my 2 big questions is what is Fender's actual motivation,
and why now?
Why are they taking the approach that they're taking? Because motivation is one side of the conversation. The approach, definitely people are bitching about. So we're going to have to figure out what's up with Fender at the moment, their mindset on taking the approach they're taking.
Right.
Fender, I want to love you, please. You're my favorite guitar.
Fender just sent letters to guitar companies across the United States and Europe, telling them to stop making guitars, recall everything they already sold, and destroy it. All of it. And the legal foundation they used to do it, a court case where the other side never even showed up. This is not a rumor. This is happening right now, and the details are worse than you think. In early 2026, Fender won a copyright case at the Regional Court of Dusseldorf, Germany. The case was brought against a Chinese company called Yiwu Philharmonic Musical Instruments, which had been selling near identical Stratocaster copies through AliExpress for roughly 62 euros apiece. Fender purchased one as a test buy in spring 2025, brought it to court, and won. The court declared the Stratocaster body shape a protected work of original creative expression under German and European law. That sounds significant. That sounds like a landmark moment for intellectual property in the music industry. Except the Chinese company never showed up to court. They hired no lawyers. They made no arguments. They did not contest a single claim Fender made. What Fender won was a default judgment, which means their legal arguments were never actually tested against a real defense. The ruling is enforceable against Yiwu Philharmonic, but it has never been stress tested in a room where both sides showed up and fought. Fender's general counsel, Arash Jarudi, called it, and I'm quoting directly here, a meaningful affirmation of the Stratocaster as an original creative work. Then Fender handed the ruling to their law firm, Bird & Bird, and told them to go to work. The letters started going out, not to AliExpress sellers, not to counterfeiters operating out of overseas warehouses, to American guitar builders, YouTubers. Philip McKnight and Tone Nerd obtained copies of the letters and made them public. The demands inside are 3 things. 1, immediately stop all manufacturing, marketing, and sales of S-style guitars. 2. Recall every S-style guitar previously sold into the European Union. 3. Destroy the recalled guitars. The first company to publicly confirm receiving one of these letters was LSL Instruments, a small family-run builder in the United States known for handcrafted, vintage-inspired instruments. A company with a small staff, real overhead, and no legal budget to fight a corporation the size of Fender Musical Instruments Corporation. LSL set up a GoFundMe to cover legal costs. In their statement, they pointed out something that goes to the very core of this entire dispute. Leo Fender himself never copyrighted the Stratocaster body shape. His concern was always the headstock. The body was left open. And for 70 years, the entire guitar industry built on top of it with virtually no objection from Fender. Think about what that actually means. Japanese builders were producing Stratocaster-style guitars by the thousands throughout the 1970s. Brands like Greco, Tokai, and Fernandez made S-style instruments that were sometimes indistinguishable from the real thing. The Superstrat era of the 1980s, driven by brands like Ibanez, Jackson, and Charvel, was built almost entirely on the Stratocaster silhouette. Fender watched all of it happen. They sent no letters. They filed no lawsuits over the body shape. For 5 decades, they essentially told the world through their silence that the S-style body was open territory, and now, in 2026, they want it back. LSL is reportedly not the only recipient. Multiple US builders have received similar letters. The brands now watching this situation nervously include PRS, Suhr, Ibanez, Schecter, Sire, Harley Benton, Anderson Guitar Works, and Yamaha, which has been selling the Pacifica, a clear S-style instrument since 1990. The compliance deadline for European recipients is reportedly around May 25th, 2026, this week. By the way, if you want to follow this story as it develops and get the full history behind every major guitar brand and model, we are trying to reach 1,000 subscribers this month. Hit subscribe right now and help us get there. Here is where this gets brutal. Because Fender has tried this before, and they lost. In 2009, Fender attempted to trademark the Stratocaster, Telecaster, and Precision Bass body shapes in the United States. The Trademark Trial and Appeal Board said no. Their reasoning was direct. The Stratocaster body shape had been copied so widely for so long that it had effectively become a generic representation of an electric guitar. One court described the Strat silhouette as so common it was essentially the visual shorthand for the concept of an electric guitar itself. Fender is now pursuing copyright protection rather than trademark protection. Different legal pathway, but the same fundamental problem. 7 decades of watching the world copy your design without taking action does not strengthen a claim to ownership. It destroys it. Every year Fender allowed the S-style guitar to proliferate across the industry is a year a defense attorney will use against them the moment a well-funded company decides to fight back. And that moment appears to be coming. Reports indicate that larger affected manufacturers are beginning to organize a coordinated legal response. If that happens, Fender will face a very different situation than they found in Dusseldorf. They will be in a room with lawyers who have done their homework, who will raise the 2009 trademark ruling, who will argue that 70 years of inaction constitutes abandonment, and who will have the resources to see it through. There is also the political dimension that Fender appears to be completely ignoring. The current climate in Europe toward American brands in 2026 is not warm. A heavy-handed legal campaign from a U.S. corporation targeting respected European and American builders in this particular moment is not a great look. Some analysts believe that Fender sending these letters is not just a legal miscalculation, it is a brand miscalculation of the first order. Fender is not operating from a position of strength right now. Reports from earlier in 2026 confirmed the company was preparing layoffs of between 100 and 250 employees. Quality concerns from dealers and players have been public and persistent for years, with reports of high-quality assurance reject rates coming from inside the company itself. Pricing has climbed, while some players argue consistency has not kept up. The guitar community, which is Fender's customer base, has reacted to the cease and desist campaign with something between fury and disbelief. Longtime Fender loyalists are publicly saying they are done buying new instruments from the company. Players who have spent decades buying Fender guitars, parts, and accessories are walking away. Dealers are watching the situation carefully and saying very little publicly, while saying quite a lot privately. What makes this most damaging for Fender is not the legal exposure. It is the perception. The Stratocaster became the most copied guitar body in history because players loved it, builders loved it. The entire ecosystem of electric guitar culture orbited around it for 70 years. PRS built the Silver Sky because players wanted a premium S-style guitar. Suhr built boutique versions because players demanded them. Yamaha sold millions of Pacificas because beginning players needed an affordable version. These are not Fender's enemies. These are the people who kept the Stratocaster relevant. And Fender is now pointing lawyers at all of them. The compliance deadline has arrived. Some companies will comply quietly. Some will not. Legal battles will likely follow, and the first time a well-funded manufacturer contests one of these letters in court with a full legal team, Fender's default judgment from Dusseldorf is going to get a real stress test for the first time. The outcome of that fight could reshape the guitar industry. If Fender wins and establishes genuine, enforceable copyright over the S-style body, it changes what guitar builders can make and sell everywhere. If Fender loses, and legal experts suggest that is a real possibility, the company will have spent enormous resources, torched enormous goodwill, and gained absolutely nothing. And consider what a Fender loss would mean beyond the courtroom. It would confirm what many in the guitar world already believe, that the S-style body belongs to the culture, not the corporation. It would embolden every builder who ever wanted to make their own interpretation of that silhouette without fear. It would be a legal declaration that 70 years of shared history cannot be undone by a cease and desist letter and a default judgment from a German court. That outcome would be genuinely historic, and Fender would have funded it themselves. There is one more thing worth saying clearly. Leo Fender sold the company to CBS in 1965. He then went on to found Music Man and later G&L, continuing to design and build instruments until he died in 1991. He was never precious about ownership. He was a builder who wanted his ideas in the world. The corporation that carries his name today is making a very different calculation. Whether it is the right one, we are all about to find out. This story is not over, not even close. And this channel will be here to cover every development as it happens, with the full context and the real history behind it. This story is not over, not even close. The compliance deadline just passed, the lawyers are circling, and nobody knows yet how far Fender is actually willing to take this. So let us find out together. Drop a comment below and tell us what you think. Is Fender completely out of line here, or do they have a point that the Stratocaster deserves protection? If you want to be here when the next chapter of this story breaks, hit subscribe so you do not miss it. We will see you in the next one.
Oh, I feel like I'm watching a documentary in real time. Guitar History Network. At Guitar History Network, we are watching guitar history right now. It's, some might call this the Dark Ages. I hope not. There's just so many confusing things here as to why the 50-year silence, and
well, that's the key
why
part.
now.
That's the thing, is it's not even like I was originally saying the why now, but now what they were just saying there, the key point, the 70-year history, and every year that went by that they didn't say anything about people copying, that is something that will go against them in a real court scenario. Yeah, that is something that they're not going to be able to get around, I don't think.
Oh, and Wes is saying he's never been a big fan of Fender. He likes the Gibson. You have a Gibson. This really doesn't matter if you're a Gibson guy. You
I
have
mean,
a
I have
kick-ass guitar.
an SG is my main guitar, but I also have an Epiphone, an Epiphone Strat essentially. So, that's the other question, right? Epiphone.
Well, and the S style,
Mhm.
that they call it S because the shape of
Strat.
the body.
A Strat.
Oh, it's just
Yeah.
Strat. S for Strat.
Mhm.
Ah, I learned something.
And to me, the 3 pickup design, the 5-way switch is the other part of a Strat is, having the 3 different, and of course, you can have multiple different type of pickup scenarios there, but in general, the 5-way switch, 3 separate pickups, that would be the Strat style.
Well, and from what he was saying, like when he was designing it, he was more concerned with the neck
The headstock.
yeah,
The actual shape of the headstock with, that rounded and just the way it is with the pegs on the side there. Cause that was one thing with the PRS when they showed in the one image that you showed earlier, the PRS that they showed that was the S style, I guess it was the Silver Sky perhaps, had the three pegs on each side of the headstock, which is definitely not the Fender Strat style. So that headstock was totally fine. And if he's totally fine with the body shape, then there's no problem there.
the body shape is the part that like I can't see. I can't see a court seriously entertaining this without like some precedence. Like they said, the default case here had like zero argument, and it's just kind of like I'd really like to know who the hell this judge was and how this whole case started in the first place. And apparently, nobody showed up to argue anything, and yet opened this door that
That's what happens with the default judgment, though.
major guitar building companies, the list that they gave there, those are some big names. Schecter, come on.
Yeah. Well, basically, what it sounds like to me is like if they were talking about having layoffs, this and that, so things were they were looking for ways to whether it's drum up business or do something to try to improve the company's situation, and somebody found this default judgment from way back when and said, hey, we could go after all these other companies, and just somebody in the legal department went and
Well,
decided to just go all in on it.
back in January when we covered that, Studio One is now Fender Studio,
Right.
and at that time I'm like wondering, like, a guitar company's buying a DAW. What are they up to? What are they trying to do here? And then, strangely enough, a couple months later, they said, it's going back to Studio One. So, Presonus is still in good shape, and I don't know what the situation is at the moment there with them. But if they had continued with the Fender Studio name and this shit came out, and all of a sudden it's like boycott Fender because they're being dicks to all the other boutique guitarists. Right now, I don't think you'd want to call your DAW Fender Studio because a lot of people would be like, I'm switching my DAW and I'm not buying any more Fender products. There's a lot of pissed off people right now, not just the ones making the guitars. The ones who buy those guitars are up in arms right now.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing is, you don't want to piss off a user base like that. And there are a lot of people, even people who I know who have like the really nice guitars of all the brands, they still like guitars from knockoff brands as well, because as you mentioned, you can find an individual guitar from any brand, any knockoff, any whatever that feels good, plays good, feels nice, no problem. Like it could, a Chinese knockoff, a Japanese knockoff, whatever. Like you can find a guitar from there that's a piece of crap, but you could find another one that's totally fine.
Yeah. If they were to just say manufacturers can't build this going forward in the future and just take that approach, maybe a reasonable request. But to tell them they have to destroy destroy a bunch of guitars that are ready to like get in somebody's hands, fuck that. Don't destroy them.
Even
Give
guitars
them to some kids, or
even guitars that came
donate
back.
them.
Even guitars that came back from somebody's hands. They're saying the guitars that you bring back, like the ones that you recall, you have to now go destroy. But that's the thing, is I think that that's more, again, that's for companies that are going to not have the legal fortitude to fight it. So they're going to voluntarily do that. The other thing is that by starting from that position, other companies can try to negotiate them down to a different position, if they do have a legal fight back.
Actually destroy good musical instruments rather than provide some kid who can't get one of these instruments, provide the school, do something useful out of this. Don't.
That would make sense.
Lawyers, I hope some of these lawyers are musicians. I hope some of these lawyers that are making these unreasonable kinds of demands and requests are actual musicians and understand how asking to this level doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't seem enforceable. It's like we're going to do a gun recall, except it's guitars, and we're not even going to pay you for those guitars. We just want them to burn. So that what benefit is Fender going to get in the long run if everybody stops buying their products because they hate this move? Yay, you get compensated for something for the last 50 years, but you're dead in the water going forward. Not a smart move.
Yeah, I think they did shoot themselves in the foot with this on the whole goodwill portion there. Not a lot of people are going to appreciate what they have done here.
Yeah. At Guitar History Network, I will be back tomorrow because I want to continue with this is a real-time guitar history in process.
Yeah.
And I like his coverage. And now Miles, music for Miles. I wanted this as a an update because this is in the last 24 hours, and it covers like some of their response in the last week as they've seen like every pissed off guitarist on YouTube make a video about this situation at music-for-miles over on YouTube. And he's another one that like I'm seeing the Fender. I will be updating here too, especially because I'm getting like fresh information here. Fender responds to the lawsuit backlash, and he says this changes everything. If I'm not going to be outraged or less outraged than I just was, then maybe it changes something.
We shall see.
Let's see, Miles, whether you can change my mind about this.
Huge news with Fender. They have officially responded to the cease and desist backlash that they have been receiving online. And their response actually changes the conversation significantly because Fender is making it very clear that they are not trying to eliminate all S-style body competition in the market. They're putting clear distinctions on what they are asking. But at the same time, their response raises so many more questions. Where exactly is Fender going to draw the line? Let's talk about it. So if you haven't seen my first video or caught up on the news, let's do a quick recap here. There's two different lawsuits going on. One of them was closed, and that was the original lawsuit Fender had against a company that was making counterfeit Stratocaster guitars. They won that by default because the defendant did not show up, but it empowered Fender to roll this even further and go after companies, in their opinion, that were stealing Fender designs, specifically the S body shape. In the original cease and desist letters, outlining the S body shape was very vague, and that is what made people extremely angry online. That meant Fender can go after any brand that took inspiration from the Fender Strat, which has been in the public domain for over 70 years now. But Fender now has officially stated their position and added some clarification to the general public. So let's talk about Fender's official position. Because Fender did officially speak with Guitar World. Now, one of the most important parts of Fender's responses was this quote here. Now, according to Fender, third-party guitars may share general design elements of a similar overall layout while remaining clearly distinctive. Those will not be an issue. Meaning if you take inspiration from the Fender Strat, but make it your own, Fender's not going to come after you. And that's a pretty major clarification compared to the original cease and desist letter. Fender also said, everybody is welcome and will be able to continue making and selling double cutaway and or two-horned electric guitars, as long as they are designed sufficiently different from the original Fender Stratocaster. So right there, Fender is saying they are not trying to stop all S-style bodies from being released to the public. they're going after guitars. They're taking inspiration and kind of blurring the lines and going into replication. This is where the controversy is getting really interesting. Now, in my original video, I used this guitar I'm holding right here as an example. This is clearly inspired by the original Fender Stratocaster, but it's been evolved. We have thinner horns. We have a cutout down here at the bottom that the original Fender guitars did not have. We have 2 single coils and a humbucker, and this is not a traditional Strat layout. This is taking inspiration from the original Fender and taking it to the next level for modern players. Now let's take a look at the original Fender Stratocaster design. The original Fender Stratocaster had very, very defined proportions, rounded horns, very specific pickguard, 3 single coil pickups, a volume and 2 tone knobs, and a 5-way selector switch. So some of the comparisons I did in my original video are no longer valid according to Fender's update, but here are some guitars I believe are likely directly in the crosshairs of Fender's legal team. And I think Sir is directly in their crosshairs, especially with the classic S model. I mean, take a look at this guitar here. If you don't look at the headstock, I would assume this is a Fender American-made Stratocaster. Now, another bigger brand, which probably has a lot more legal flexibility, would be PRS. When they released the Silver Sky guitar, I absolutely hated how it looked with the PRS headstock, but it was obvious in the single coil model that they are directly borrowing inspiration from the original Stratocaster, especially since John Mayer was known for only playing Fender Strats up until that point. Let's take a look at Schecter guitars. Now they have the Nick Johnston traditional and the USA traditional guitar. Both of these are heavily similar to the original Stratocaster. And finally, Ibanez. The AZ2203 single coil, it takes almost direct inspiration from the Fender Strat. Now, here's a new important legal update. Originally, they were asking for inventory to be destroyed and to recall those guitars. Well, Fender is backstepping. Here's what they're saying now. Companies can actually continue making many of these guitars if they make design changes and adjustments so they no longer appear to be more or less exact copies. Now, that sounds very different from the original cease and desist letter. That means PRS can make some modifications to the design so it looks much different than the original Strat, and they will be clear from legal liability. I think Fender's trying to save face, but the question is it too late? Because earlier reports surrounding these cease and desist letters sounded extremely aggressive. People were up in arms with Fender, again, I used this in the first video, swinging around their big D. And of course, Fender's pockets are much deeper than these smaller brands when it comes to legal resources. They came off as bullies. They came off as insensitive, completely disconnected from the players themselves. And now they are walking back that aggression big time. And personally, I think Fender realized after all of the backlash, all of the videos, that the guitar community, the consumers, and the players were not taking to this lightly. I had over 200 comments on my last video, and maybe 5 comments total were in support of Fender's position, but a majority of people are upset, and they were calling for a boycott of purchasing any Fender product. This term was used all over the place in the comments. Cease to exist is what they wanted for Fender. I still stand behind my comments I made in my first video. I do think Fender needs to be innovating their guitar designs, building off of them, and trying to reach a more modern guitar audience. Things that Sir, Yamaha, Ibanez, Schecter, Vola guitars, and others are already doing. And look, at the end of the day, I completely understand Fender trying to protect what they've created. And yeah, I even get where they're coming from with this newest update of taking inspiration and blurring the lines between that and replication. But at the same time, Fender had nearly 70 years to copyright and patent these designs, and they didn't. So luckily, Fender did listen, but is the damage already done? I guess we'll have to see. But I want to know what you guys think with Fender's response. It's obvious they're backpedaling. Do you think it's for a good reason? And where do you think the line is between inspiration and replication? If you guys do dig guitar content, be sure to subscribe. And if you dig this guitar I've been holding this entire video, this is the Julian Rosenthal signature model. We get a roasted maple neck, killer pickup configuration, Goto hardware, and this guitar is made in Japan. You can pick up one of these for around $1,200 and save an additional 10% using the code MUSIC4MILES on VolaGuitars.com. And that's good for any guitar on Vola Guitars. Till next time, I am Michael. Thanks so much for watching Music for Miles. See ya.
Wow, he changed my channel.
Yep.
And actually for the better. Damn, Michael, I dig the guitar stuff. We are definitely going to be coming back for some guitar nights, and that guitar is a beauty.
Absolutely. And good
And
stuff. Yeah.
yeah, well, he made me feel a little more reassured because last week it was just like, what the fuck, and these demands and destroying and everything we were just talking about, after that last one. Um, Yes, they are backpedaling, and he gave it a fair assessment. He's not a shill for them. He's just calling them like he sees them. They are doing some backpedaling. Thank God, because I hope that the higher ups there are actual still like serious about building great guitars and not just about like we're gonna sue everybody and destroy any guitar that looks like ours. Um, I see what their motivation must be is they want that particular look, exact look to be something that they can now market. They got to make money too. And some people will buy the authentic Fender if there's a compelling reason to pay for it.
And that's the thing is they also like to do classic reissues, for example. So they might, pick a classic design from a certain year and say, okay, we're going to make these, 50th anniversary of these or whatever. And, they want to make sure that they're the only ones making that style. So they want to, kind of clear the road for that going forward is kind of another way to look at it.
Oh, Scotty, yes, I know you have a Fender, but you are an Ibanez guy, especially on the bass side.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, and there will be a big fight, a good fight on this as far as those guitar companies that are going to be affected by this. Like the previous video said, one company with the money, one company that has actually like built up themselves goes at this lawsuit with their lawyers. It sucks that these companies have to spend this money to sort this fight out, but some of them boutique guitar companies are not going to stop doing what they're doing just because this lawsuit looks like it could get shifted, retracted, changed. One good lawyer could go back to the default case here and say everything that started all of this is a joke. The client did show up on one side, Fender didn't really show up on their side, and all of a sudden lawyers are like, "Whoa, we won this one. Let's go after every guitar company in existence." This is a fucked up time in guitar.
I think they just bit off more than they could chew there on that legal team there. And again, it's probably going to bite them in the ass when it comes to the public opinion. So,
And it was the destroying the guitars that I really didn't like. And here, this backpedaling, apparently the ones at the top of Fender are smart enough to realize we can't tell them to destroy their inventory and their stock. Modify it a little bit. Don't make it look like our 50th anniversary. And I think you might be right there. They might be like, getting ready for something they want to sell and brand as super unique, and they don't want any old boutique making a replica of it and selling it through Japan.
Yeah. And, other companies, being able to make some modifications, again, modifying the horns slightly, modifying whether it's the tone controls or the volume controls, where they are kind of like, even when they had the PlayStation controllers and the Xbox controllers and they had to change where the analog sticks were. So one has them this way and one has them that way, because, if they were both the same, then it would be a copyright problem.
It's the same reason your MacOS puts those stupid buttons on the left side and Windows puts them on the right side. They do the same damn thing, but apparently where they are makes the difference between this brand and that brand.
Exactly. So we've seen it before in other arenas, but same idea there. Yeah.
And going back to the guitar shape, the body shape, I'm thinking more, like you said, headstock, pickups, bridge, molo that you use. These are the kinds of things that make one guitar $3,000 and one $200. And the body itself, like, whether it's a flying V or a Strat shape, does that actually change the sound? Uh, there's a lot of debate about that. If you're talking acoustic, yes. If you're talking electric, whatever the body shape is this little bit of the tone.
One that I saw the other day was I want to say it was Mary Spender, a video of hers that she was reviewing a guitar that she got that was basically a headless travel guitar style where it's a very, very small body, and basically the body, what would be the body elements, had the shape of a Strat. So like, you know, there's like just a metal bar for like that'll be the what would be the bottom of the body, and that's to rest on your leg, and then there's what would be the top of the body. So it's like those elements are there, but they're not really there as part of the body. They're just there to represent that shape. So would that be enough to be a problem, you know, for the S style? You know what I mean?
And it's such a great shape, and it is actually comfortable and convenient. And there's a reason why so many are like, yes, this is perfect for if I'm sitting down and I'm going to play this way. And, you know, if I'm standing, like at least I've got some like wiggle room around the body. You get into the weird shapes, and it's like, I'm stabbing myself in my elbow with this flying V. Why did I buy this fucking shape?
Yeah. And even worse than that flying V is the what was it, the Bootsy Collins, the star bass, where it's like a 5-pointed star. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, but it looks so cool. I do give Bootsy credit there.
I mean, it goes with the sunglasses. I get it.
Yeah, it stands out on stage.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, at music-4-miles over on YouTube. Love it. It helps me to not be as enraged from last week's news, because looking at all the videos that came out last week, it was like, fuck you, Fender, fuck off. Like the anger in the guitar world was strong. This, it is going to take time to see whether like they did it fast enough. This is a brand that's been around for a long, long time. So, you know, a bad week or a bad month, I think Fender can survive that, but they got to back off the dumbass lawyers and get the smart ass lawyers to take over on this, whatever they're protecting here or wanting to build that 50th anniversary, if that's the case. And Glenn, if you called it there, I'm going to pat you on the back. That might be the initial motivation.
Yeah. And again, I still feel it's a very weak position that they're in, again, with the default judgment and the whole fact that for those 69 years up to just now, you know, nothing was enforced, nothing was a problem, everything was fine. And then all of a sudden it's all a problem. So that's where, you know, I don't think they're going to have much of a leg to stand on if anybody comes to try to fight it in court, whether they have huge, you know, huge corporate legal background or not. You know, I think they can just come in and just shoot enough holes right in that argument right there.
Right now, the public perception there is that Fender's greedy. They turned into a greedy corporation, which is not their reputation. Like their history is not a company like that. So PR here is gonna like hopefully help to say, no, we're not really trying to be greedy. We're just trying to get our ducks in a row before this kick-ass collectible classic comes out. And, you know, don't destroy instruments, please. Like, I hate seeing a guitar get smashed on stage. If you do that and make factories destroy a bunch of them, I will forever hate that.
Yeah, I mean, destroying one for a video, like I would destroy a guitar that's already destroyed, you know, like one that was broken already and whatever, you know, you could like make it look normal and break it for a video so that you're getting the effect of breaking it, but you're not actually destroying a usable instrument.
Like take them apart, rebuild them in a way that you can donate them or possibly sell them. Or from this video, if they do make these adjustments, like now at least Fender is getting specific about like, this good, this not good. And thank God it's not at the actual body directly. It's a little bit more.
It's about being too identical.
Confusing though.
It's about being identical. It's about being a replica. It's about trying to say, you know, again, taking the exact body and, you know, taking business from them with that, rather than taking inspiration from the body and making your own thing.
Yeah, and some would argue that these knockoffs did take business from them, but at the same time, um, guitarists can, like, when they buy on a certain brand or a certain product like that, the faithful ones, they're not buying the knockoff because they want the Fender. And some of these brands that they mentioned, like Schecter, they've got fanatic fans now too, and they'll say "fuck you, Fender," and they'll keep buying a Schecter and just whatever shape it is.
Sure, absolutely.
Especially if they're playing bass, because that's where they kick ass.
Oh yeah.
So at Music Dash for Miles helped to calm down my feelings a little bit there. But when it does come to that shape, the design had to include this one. This channel called out to me.
Oh yeah.
Riffs, beards, and gear.
Does that say
Damn
beer
it,
or
man.
gear?
I think I found home.
Nice.
Yeah, this freshy channel is definitely calling to me. I have a beard. I do like to riff. And
Now,
when
see,
it
my
comes
my
to the
beard is on vacation right now, but
yes, but you're working on it. Usually this time of year, when you'd go to the mountains, you would come back Grizzly Adam.
exactly. And I might, you never know. I might also go the opposite direction and just go completely cue ball style soon.
Yeah, well, you're gonna be sweating soon because it gets hot in Jersey.
It does.
So at Riffs and Beards, a guitar about a channel about guitars, beards, and gear.
I like
I
it.
will be hanging out here, and I thought this is a nice one to finish off, like everything going on with Fender, and the whole idea that a guitar shape, sometimes it is for ergonomics or for convenience of playing, the style. But he asks such a great question here. When does a guitar shape become public culture? The Strat's been around for what, 70? What did they say, 50,
You
70?
said 70 years, yeah.
And that shape certainly, caught on. It's logical, it's comfortable. What makes certain guitar shapes actually stand out and become a cultural staple for guitar players? All of a sudden, every guitar player has one of these.
What I'd like to do is I'd like to ask AI to take a look at the vibrations in the wood and think about what would be, just think about all different kinds of guitar shapes and come up with guitar shapes that have better sustain or whatever. You might find that there's a completely different guitar
For
shape
the
that
for the
makes more
electric
sense.
guitar, though, like on the body side, is that shape gonna affect those pickups in a way that's gonna change a tone?
Oh yeah.
Or yeah?
The actual tone, the actual body, resonates, it vibrates, and how you shape that body. If you shaved off some on this end or shaved off some on that end, it
So
would
on an
change the way things
electric
sound.
guitar, that pickup actually shifts depending on what body it's in.
Sure,
Same
absolutely.
pickup, different body, different tone.
Slightly different result. Yeah, and even just the pickup heights can make a difference too. We talked
Well,
about that
yeah,
the other day.
but that's on the pickup side, like the influence of the body to the pickup's ability to do what it does. I'm curious. We're gonna have to do some experiments one night. All you guitarists out there that want to do some testing and you're willing to tweak out shit, I'd love to hear the same pickups on different bodies.
Now you remember the bodies that we saw where they were able to like slap the whole pick guard in and
Yeah.
out. Like you could just take a whole new pickup set and slap it in and slap in another one. Like those would also be interesting to check out to see how the vibrations all work through that as well.
Yeah, I really want one of those shark guitars just so I can slap pickups in and out.
Here's my SG. Whoosh.
Yeah, I'm gonna be a mad scientist with a guitar. So let's see how a shape has influenced some guitars in guitar culture.
with all of the legal discourse going on at the time of filming this with Fender and cease and desists and legal action against the Stratocaster body shape, I have to wonder, at what point does a product become culture? Let's talk about it. So what Fender has been doing is they've been basically sending cease and desist letters to every guitar builder or maker or company of all sizes, small and large. If you're wondering if a certain company has gotten one, yes, they have. All of the companies in the United States got a cease and desist letter from Fender. We only know publicly about a couple of them, but I can tell you all of them got cease and desist letters. And this is based on a ruling in a German court, which obviously has no jurisdiction in the United States, but Fender seemed to be taking that copyright win, which is interesting. We'll get to that in just a second. And they're basically threatening, legally, nicely asking other companies to turn over all guitar bodies or destroy them. And here's our bank account information if you want to start wiring us money for the profit shares of the guitars you're infringing on. It's pretty ridiculous, but that's what they've done. Now let's talk about what people are so fired up about the Fender case in particular. I think people get especially angry when you intermix no good doing with their favorite nostalgic brands, and Fender, I would argue, is probably the most nostalgic brand in the guitar world. I mean, they are such a classic legacy brand, as well as Gibson. But you know, Fender amps, Fender guitars, all the classic body shapes and styles, and we've all had the posters of the guys playing Fenders on our walls, etc., etc. So when a company that we kind of hold dear to our hearts goes off and does some shisty things, people are going to get upset. Now, it's important to note that in the German court, they won under copyright grounds versus trademark. They did not win a trademark for the Stratocaster body shape. They were able to basically successfully persuade the judge in the German court that Leo Fender designed the body shape to evoke the curves of a woman, etc., etc., which is stupid and complete BS, but I can't help but wonder if they made this argument now after buying the rights and the likeness to the Leo Fender name from G&L last year, and this was the plan probably all along to get some sort of legal foothold over the Stratocaster body shape. Now, the funny thing with the Stratocaster body shape is everybody copies everybody, and the uncomfortable truth is the electric guitar is not a brand new invention anymore, right? It's 70 years old. So, you know, certain forms become familiar. Flying V, Les Paul, Telecaster, Stratocaster, Jazzmaster, just to name a few. But a lot of those shapes are less about the brand and more just about the culture, the ergonomics, and the things that they offer as an instrument, rather than, oh, that's a Fender or that's a Gibson or whatever. It's part of the culture. Nobody walks into a guitar store and says, give me something that completely redefines what it is to be an electric guitar. That's not what we do. We want something familiar. We want something comfortable. We want something that feels like home as an instrument for us to play on and express ourselves. And therefore, there's a million different companies making Strat-style bodies that are clearly different from Fenders, but nonetheless, they are a, S-style body. That's just how things have been for the last 40, 50 years. So let's go ahead and talk about the difference between copyright, trademark, and rarely, but you will sometimes see, trade dress. This is an interesting one, but again, I'm not a lawyer, but here's some very simplified examples. Copyright usually protects creative expression, all right? Do you have a song? Copyright. Album artwork? That's copyright. Copyright is creative expression, which is what Fender hung their hat on with this latest ruling in Germany. Now, a trademark is more when you see something and you instantly know who made it, all right? So, for example, the Golden Arches, the McDonald's Golden Arches, you would not mistake that for anyone else but McDonald's. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, trademark is not a creative expression. It's more an identifiable thing that is tied to a company or an entity. Now, trade dress is where things get pretty murky and muddy and up for a lot of interpretation, but you can think of trade dress as when a shape or an appearance becomes identifiable with a company. All right, so we're not talking about logos. We're talking about, as an example, the shape of a Coca-Cola bottle, the classic Coca-Cola bottle. That is trade dress and protected by Coca-Cola. No one else can do that bottle shape. All right, so this is where things can get kind of murky with guitar shapes. So the part I see people kind of trip over a little bit is, people always go back to, well, didn't Fender lose the trademark years ago? Well, yes, they did, but that was only mainly because they hadn't defended it in so many decades. So now they were in a situation of trying to claim a body shape in a world with tons and tons of S-shaped guitars already existing historically. Now, to us, it feels culturally settled, but the S-shaped guitar body is not public domain. Public domain means something totally different. But for us guitar players, it feels culturally done and over with, but apparently not for Fender. So this leads me back to my original question. At what point does a product become culture? At what point does the Stratocaster shaped body, the Les Paul shaped body, the Telecaster shaped body become just part of the playing consciousness and not specific property of that company? Is it amount of sales? Is it time? Is it the amount of generations that have grown up to play it? I don't know the answer to that question. However, that question deserves an answer at some point. And, in the search for the answer for that, Fender is torpedoing themselves in the eyes of the entire industry. And it's pretty sad. And also, don't think for a second that any of the employees or artist reps or sales reps at Fender agree with any of this, because I can tell you they don't. So just take that for what you will. Leave a comment down below if there's anything you would like to add to this conversation. You have been wonderful. I've been Fluff. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.
Damn, the beard is strong in that one.
That's right.
I like that little takeout there. Little jam going out.
Good stuff.
Well, he makes multiple great points there. Like, Fender as a company, they are like a cultural icon on the retro side, classic for guitarists. And as a music company, they have represented something important. And like he mentioned at the end there, like a lot of the employees, the people behind this brand are probably all like, what the fuck? That purchase that he mentioned last year totally clears things up for me. Like, this now explains why now. And once you're dealing with a board of directors and a bunch of stock investors, like, we own this now, like, well, what value does this have? We're going to have to go chase every guitar manufacturer out there for something that has become a cultural standard, like he mentioned.
And again, it could be somebody getting bad advice, or somebody says, yeah, we could get money from everybody who's ever made a guitar that looks anything like a Fender Strat. Really? Let's do that.
if Steinway decided we own the design of the grand piano, so anybody out there making a grand piano technically is stealing from us, that'd be bizarre.
Yeah, especially if they waited this many years to do it.
It, it's a it's a weird thing to justify when you're just talking like shape of guitar. But when he did use that analogy about like the Coke bottle shape,
Sure. Yeah.
which, you know, when you're talking
Trade dress.
the brand Coke and you use a certain red, you use this font. Our bottles used to be shaped like this. That's like the Aunt Jemima bottle. Like anybody trying to do something that looks like that would technically be trying to represent their syrup as that.
Yep.
But what we're talking guitars here, and the shape of your traditional acoustic guitars, who owns that? Like,
Bunch of them. I mean, that's the thing is,
Fender, you gotta say like you own the acoustic guitar shapes too, because there's a shitload of guitars out there using that.
there's a lot of different shapes that you don't even realize. You know, the dreadnoughts and the jumbos and like all these ones that they look similar, but there are little differences.
If you get into something unique like Ovations with the round back,
Yeah.
okay, this isn't your typical acoustic guitar. It's got a round back. I understand like claiming something there. Like we're the ones who started with the round backs. Ideally, if somebody does something like that, they don't try to like patent it in a way that says nobody else can build this way, because that doesn't lead to innovation down the road. The reason we have these kick-ass knockoffs nowadays is because people innovated off of the original Fender, Les Pauls, the Telecaster, one of the most modified guitars ever. Like, it's good to let people fidget with the design and build.
The other question is if this timing has to do with the fact that 3D printing and CNC and 3D manufacture is at the point where you could probably download schematics to make, you know, a perfectly acceptable guitar, you know, and they wanted to get ahead of that as well, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and Scotty's calling off some of the classic Fender. Yes, Ingve, definitely a Fender. Eric Clapton, Jimmy, like
Gilmore.
shit, man.
Gotta love
Not that those Gibsons aren't cool, Wes, but Fender really has a long history there, and uh, the Gibsons definitely like you either went one way or the other, guitar wise.
Yeah.
You like your Starburst.
Yeah. And it's good to have a variety also, you know, like there's the guitar you start with, and then, you know, you kind of see what else is out there or what other styles you want to play, because it could be that certain styles of music lend, you know, or lean towards a certain
Honestly, just the feel of the guitar in your lap while you're sitting with it might influence you to play a different way.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because this guitar makes me relaxed, and this guitar I'm like trying to keep it up because those fucking Ovations suck when you're sitting down and they roll on you.
It's actually not too bad. I have the Ovation style. It's a Glary is the brand name, but it's an Ovation style guitar that has that same rounded back. I always liked that rounded back style. But the other thing is, I've seen like one of my buddies could take an acoustic guitar and, you know, without having a strap over the neck there, and just be able to hold it under his arm and play while standing there. And to me, I was always like, how does that work? I'm like, I need to have this hand out here, this hand over here, and then like having the wing hold the guitar. I'm like,
You got to have special muscles that
yeah, exactly. And I was like, no, I feel like I would like be crushing the body with the arm or whatever. It's all right though.
But I do love how those round backs sound, and like they do really give a different tone
Sure.
in their design.
Yeah. And in this case, it's an acoustic electric, so that's something that helps as well. So it's got an EQ built in right on it and all that.
Yeah. I'm really hoping this whole Fender thing straightens itself out. If a classic company like that in the music world does something like this, then and it continues to get enforced and gets even more ridiculous, then we're in the 21st century now, and I hope other music makers, companies, instrument makers don't start going down this road where we can't build instruments better because they own that kind of design.
Yeah, I think Fender has definitely poisoned the goodwill with this one. So I don't know. I don't know how well this is going to work out for them.
Hopefully, the guys at the top, the CEO, whoever is actually like encouraging the lawyers or discouraging them, and if they went through a corporate shift last year and now they're dealing with a board of directors. Unfortunately, boards of directors don't make smart decisions. Sometimes it's all about the money. And if that happens, a lot of those longtime fans are going to look at this like, wow, you just turned into a greedy corporation. I don't want to touch your stuff anymore.
And there's a lot of options out there. If you don't want to, there's plenty of other guitars out there.
I don't want to give up my Strat though, and I don't want to have to destroy it. Damn it!
Exactly.
So, at Riffs and Beards, I love the beards. I love the riffs. Great thought there when it comes to the shape of a guitar and its influence in building and what is actually trademarkable. The big question I've had the whole night when it comes to this.
The other thing that you could do as as kind of a defiance thing is if you have a Fender Strat, you could shave the horns flat, like cut the horns off and shave part of that headstock so it no longer looks the same way. Now they can't say it looks exactly the same, and they can't say this looks exactly the same. So they can do whatever they want.
It's like a Hellboy guitar.
Exactly. Certain modification that everybody could make as a defiance thing, against Fender if it became a real problem.
I'll tell you, guitar builders are not going to stop doing what they do. If they do have to make a modification just to be different enough,
by all means,
it's going to be some stupid modification just to say, okay, it's not shaped like a Coca-Cola bottle because I put a curve here.
What about a googly eye on each one of the horns? That's different enough.
Somebody's going to lawyer this shit.
Exactly. And we'll have to check it out on another Thursday.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we did get this one covered. Last week, I was still going through my anger phase. So good that we covered the names last week.
Don't drive angry.
I let the dust settle on this one until at least they responded.
Got to sleep on it. Yep.
Yeah, the response makes me feel a little better, but those lawyers need to stop foaming at the mouth and sending out letters.
Yeah. Feels like overreach for sure.
Yeah. We will continue to watch this one. Between this AI and all the shit going on with the Macs this year, they're going to be taking a lot of coverage.
Busy. Never a dull moment.
And you are halfway moved.
Halfway. The keyboard that was usually right here is not here right now. That's the other keyboard back there. The Axiom's there, but the drums are actually accessible here. And I think those are going to be next. So I'll probably move the drum kit up to the new place tomorrow. And that way I can start playing.
I can't wait to see the little jam room you put together.
Yeah, it's already coming together. But probably by next week I'll be able to get the computer up there and some more of everything else, because little by little making progress and trying to take my time with it so that it's not like a whole big rush all in one day kind of thing. I've got weeks left. I still have at least 4 or 5 weeks to get the whole process done, so I can just take my time.
For a giant, you do things in bite-sized pieces.
Yeah, it's better that way. I can take a little bit with me up there, figure out where everything goes, and then come back, do more later.
Plus, you get to sort and organize things. That it's a good time to get organized.
Exactly. And it's a lot more room where I'm going than where I am. So I can expand all my stuff out, figure out where everything is, and then, condense it down and get things stored, get things donated, get things thrown out, like lots of stuff to do.
Yes, flap your wings.
Yeah. But lots of room to still walk around and do stuff.
That's we will see if you are there next Thursday. Tune in.
Right.
It's gonna be cool.
We'll see how the internet is. It might be choppy,
Yeah, we do gotta test that.
Yeah. We shall try.
And we will be back on Monday with Wally to get you motivated. Summer's here. Feels like it.
That's right. It's back getting warmer again.
Don't sweat it.
Mm-hmm. Stay cool.
Night, everyone.
See you.
We cover digital audio workstations and music tools. We explore theory, gear, and MIDI too. How to weigh and compose, and the art of arranging. Taking a look at AI and how the times have changed. On a PC or a Mac, and even with a mobile device, we'll be talking about it all every Thursday night. From software to plugins and synths that entice. Dive deep into tech and let creativity take flight. Talkin IT. We're talking IT. Come and join in and have some fun. It's highly educational with a lot to learn. From bedroom producers to seasoned pros, we're breaking it down so knowledge grows. Whether you're a DJ or a beat making wizard, we got the tips and tricks to make your sound sizzle. Mixing and mastering, that's our jam. With the tutorials and tips on how much RAM. Get the best quality from your setup and gear. Tune in every week and lend us your ear. We're talking IT. Come and join in and have some fun. It's highly educational with a lot to learn. We're talking